Well guys, it is here. Arrowhead has graced us with our first new Warbond for Helldivers 2. Yes, the Cutting Edge Warbond is now live and it is out there, and my first impressions, I gotta tell you, pretty badass. I am definitely enjoying myself with these new weapons. I think the new armor that they've added in for us is pretty sick. Definitely fits right in with the universe, and wanted to make this, not that there's any lack of information out there, I'm sure, but hey, I gotta get my 2 cents in since I love this game so much, and kind of give anyone who might be on the fence about getting this, a humble man's perspective, not one of them gaming journalists or one of them guys. But anyway, our new Warbond is live, and I just wanted to give a little bit of background information just for anyone that might not be aware. I'm sure you all are. I'm sure you've all seen it. You've seen the articles. You've probably seen other videos. But we've got our Cutting Edge Warbond. It is a premium Warbond, mirroring the cost of the first that was released with the game. If you were not one of the folks who purchased that premium edition, it comes in at the cost of 1,000 super credits, which, again, if you're someone like me, and you've played an ungodly amount of hours, you probably have enough just to purchase it outright and not have to spend any additional cash on it. But if you're one of those people who might not have the free time, or just doesn't play that much, that comes in at about 10 bucks for you. So honestly, not a bad deal. One of the pretty cool things about this one, I think at least, is that within the 3 tiers of the Warbond, each one has the option for you to purchase 100 super credits back, obviously for increasing amounts of war medals. But considering that the cost is only 1,000, if we think about a little return on investment there, that's 300 back. So 300 out of 1,000. 30%, we take that down to, if we're putting a percentage on it. I think that's pretty sweet, given that we're gonna get that many back just for progressing through. And if that's something you want to spend your war medals on, if you're afraid of being short for any other cosmetics that they might put through the shop, or even if you just want to continue saving up for the other premium Warbond, if you don't have that. The hell's that one called? Steeled Veterans or something like that? I think it's Steeled Veterans. That sounds right. If it's not, it still sounds badass. So that's what it is now. Thank you. My name is Knight. I work for Arrowhead now. But anyway, yeah, with this Warbond, we get access to 4 new weapons technically, 3 primaries, and a sidearm, along with our slew of cosmetics, emotes and capes and armors, 3 full sets of armor, obviously capes included, because unlike in the Incredibles, we allow capes here.
No capes!
But we've got a pretty good slew of stuff here, guys. It's pretty nice. I want to go through and kind of just talk about what some of my favorite things from the Warbond are. And like I said, see, if you're a person that's not sure if you want to get this yet, if you want to either spend the super credits, or if you want to drop 10 bucks on it and you're not sure, like I said, you see some people out there, reading articles, and you're like, oh man, I don't know about this. I want some boots on the ground stuff. That's what I'm looking for. Well, I got your boots, baby. We're gonna get them dirty. We're gonna get them covered in bug guts and transmission fluid from the automatons, and you're gonna hear my opinions on this stuff. That's what I'm getting at. That's what's gonna happen here. So yeah, buckle in, guys. We're gonna look at some of the unlocks from the new Warbond, the Cutting Edge, and we'll see what is up, what is good, what is trash, and what is meh. Alright guys, so here is what we're looking at. Here we can see we've got the, oh hey, look at that, I was right, it is Steeled Veterans. Points for me. Anyway, yeah, here's the new Warbond, the new premium Warbond, Cutting Edge. As you can see, I've already locked it and spent a metric fuck ton of medals in here. but it does cost 1,000 super credits to unlock, and just as kind of like a base level of information, there are 3 tiers here, as you can see. So starting out, first thing that I kind of want to talk about is just the unlocks in general, and then I'm going to talk about the unlocks that I've used so far and what I think of them, mostly the weapons. I think that's probably what most people are looking at in here, in addition to the armor and the bonuses that gives, but that'll be, you know, I think at the moment that kind of takes a backseat to the weapons that we got in here. So the first one that we have here is the LAS, or the last 16 sickle. The last kind of sounds cooler, so that's what I'm gonna say. This is an energy-based weapon, as they all are. Is an assault rifle. It has 55 damage here. You can see fire limit. I really don't know what the fire limit means, not gonna lie. Super low recoil and a really good fire rate. This is honestly probably my favorite weapon from here. I'm gonna get into that in just a minute. That's tier 1. Tier 2 down here, we've got the SG-8P Punisher Plasma Shotgun, obviously. There you go. And then the final one down here, which I haven't unlocked yet, but I have used, is the ARC-12 Blitzer, and that's another shotgun. This one is pretty sweet too, not gonna lie. All the weapons that we got here, they've definitely all got their uses. I'm gonna talk about them a little bit more. But those are the 3 primaries, and then down here in the 3rd tier, we've also got this, the last 7 dagger, obviously another kind of energy-based thing. I have not personally tried this one yet, so I can't really offer any opinion on it. So I'll kind of pass past that one. But I have used all 3 of these primaries, and then as I mentioned earlier too, we also got a stun grenade in here, which seems to work extremely well. My buddy has been using this when we were playing, and it seems like it's pretty damn good. I mean, stop a charger good, and you guys know how chargers are. So for something to be able to stop them just like that, I think that's pretty damn good. In addition to that, obviously 3 sets of armor here with a cape. We got the XO3 Prototype 3, the X16 Prototype 16, and then finally here, this is my favorite one here, the X00 Prototype X. I think this armor looks dope as fuck. I think this is honestly the best set, maybe minus the cape. Obviously I haven't got that yet, but you know what, that looks pretty sick too, not gonna lie. I like it. But in addition to that, you guys can see we've got some stuff here. We've got this localization confusion booster, which the effect is it increases the time between enemy encounters. Now, I have some speculation on this, and I've seen some speculation online as well, that basically this only works for patrols, which would make sense. You know, it's not going to work against bug breaches or anything like that, since those are called in, or, you know, the bot drops or anything. I feel like that just would make it too OP if they chose to do that, but basically cuts down, I'm pretty sure, on the amount of patrols that you might encounter. So if you're playing solo, that could definitely be a good thing to run. And then of course, you know, we've got all our little player cards here. We've got some emotes here, the shotgun show for a victory pose, which your boy loves shotguns, so we are repping that. We got a little head tap victory pose, and then a little presentable, nice posh gentleman right here. I am the mightiest of Helldivers, and I am the upper echelon of society, and if you don't use the presentable victory pose, I will kick you from the game, per the Reddit post. That is the new meta.
Sirs, and to you, ladies. These heels are almost impossible to walk in.
Sorry, I got a little into that. And then here, just to point out as well here, so here's the 3 levels of super credits that we can get. Starting at the base one here. I already picked one of these up. 100 super credits. I think this one was 7, and then it goes up to 12, then the 32 for the final one here, but they are all 100, which is pretty dope in my opinion. Like I said, you get 300 back for that investment of 1,000, so that is not bad at all. But yeah, you guys can see here. I mean, obviously you can all see it on your game too, but just wanted to go through it so we could all see it before we kind of dive into it. These are the 3 pages from the Cutting Edge Warbond. Now we're going to go in and we're going to talk about the weapons, because I think, as I said, those are the most important thing that have been added in with the Cutting Edge Warbond. So like I said, I think that the weapons are probably the most important thing right now in terms of what is new with this Warbond. So that's what we're going to talk about first, and I'm just going to go through progressively as they'd be unlocked and talk about them in that order. At least all the ones that I've unlocked, you know, not counting the sidearm. And the first one that we can get is the sickle, and I gotta be honest, the first time that I used the sickle, I was not impressed with it. I didn't feel like it did enough damage. I didn't feel like it was, I just didn't feel like it was effective at all. I kind of wrote it off after the first game that I used with it, but I went back to it, and after I kind of adjusted my playstyle a little bit from exclusively like using the breaker, I came to find out that I actually think that the sickle is the best weapon from this Warbond, at least with what I've used so far. It has a really great rate of fire, super fast. With it being an energy weapon as well, you know, you don't have to worry about running out of ammo as long as you kind of stagger your shots and, you know, don't overheat it. But the good thing is that even with that, with the heat sinks, you can kind of just treat them like mags. Even on the planets, if we were playing on any that had those heat effects, I didn't really notice too much of an effect on it that I was running out excessively or having to, you know, really stifle my fire or change the heat sinks out because I was overheating more than normal. It performs really well, and especially against automatons, actually does a lot, seems to do really good critical damage. And there weren't too many enemies that gave me an issue using the sickle. And another thing that's really great about it, in addition to just what or at least what appears to be the damage factor of it and kind of the ammo management, is the recoil. There's like absolutely zero. There's like none. I don't know if that was intentional or if that's just kind of like a little bug and they're going to be patching that. But I mean, this thing is super effective, not only at close range, but even up to long range. I'd say mid-range, this thing kicks ass. Long range, it's not bad. You know, if you're a pretty good shot, you can pick some of the weaker enemies off. But overall, sickle's just a great weapon. I honestly think it's probably like number 2 or 3 in my arsenal. 100% is better than the previous laser weapons that we had, in my opinion, as well as both of the other assault rifles that are currently available. Now, I do want to say, you know, I do play this game a lot, but I'm not like a Helldiver difficulty kind of guy. I have it unlocked, but that's not my normal go-to. I'm kind of a suicide mission level guy, you know, for what I like to run. So, you know, if you are one of those hardcore guys that are running Helldiver or one of those top difficulties, it may be different for those difficulties, but honestly, I've noticed anything up until suicide mission, sickle slaps pretty hard, not gonna lie. Definitely would recommend, if you get this, unlocking that as soon as possible, trying it out. The one negative thing that I can say about it, and it's not even that big of a negative, it's just kind of a little thing that you have to watch out for if you get in like close quarters, is that it does take a little bit to start firing. You know, it's not going to be like one of the, you know, kind of kinetic weapons where obviously you pull the trigger, you're going to get a response. It does take just maybe like, I don't know, like half a second to start firing. But outside of that, the sickle's a badass weapon, and like I said, definitely number 2 or 3 on my list in terms of all the weapons for its performance and how reliable it's been for me through the Helldives that I've done since getting it. So the second weapon that you can get from the new Warbond is the Punisher Plasma. I don't know why they call it Plasma. kind of seems like it launches electricity. At least that's what it looks like to me. Maybe it's supposed to be plasma, but regardless, this, I feel like out of all three of the main primary weapons that you can get, is the one that's the most hit or miss for me. I was super hyped for this. I thought it was going to be like super badass, and I thought it was going to kind of blow everything else out of the water. And honestly, not that I'm like a big meta person, but I was kind of thinking this was going to be a new meta weapon, and I was a bit disappointed in it, not gonna lie. Maybe it's just my playstyle, or maybe it's, you know, maybe it's just different than what I'm used to, but I've played quite a few games with it, and I wasn't exactly impressed. Now, I did come back to it, and I tried using it again a little bit, with a different kind of playstyle again than what I was used to, so a little bit in the same family as like what I thought about the sickle. It does seem to have decently good damage. You know, I was one or two shotting, you know, some of the spitters, 3 sometimes, depending on if I got a crit or not. But the main problem I think I have with the Plasma Punisher is it seems a little bit inconsistent. And also with the aiming, if you see, it's the projectiles, they kind of arc, and not arc in like a good way. That's not really the best way to describe it, but it really only makes it viable at some decent, weird, poorly conceived notion of mid-range. Because if you fire too close, you'll Kurt Cobain yourself, and if it's too far, good luck landing the arc just right. Now, I'm sure there's people out there who, based on their playstyle and based on how good they are at aiming, could probably rip with this weapon. It's really not as bad as I thought it was initially. However, if you're someone like me who typically you like to really kind of get in there and get dirty and, you know, run and gun up close, Plasma Punisher is not the weapon for you. Just with the, you know, kind of AoE that it does with the explosions, I definitely would not recommend that being for you. Now, if you are someone who's a little bit more careful, you like to kind of stay back, you like to provide a little bit of support, might work out a little bit better for you. Just as always, be aware of friendly fire. That's the thing in Helldivers 2. We all know that. And I haven't run that actually in a co-op game, so I don't know kind of what the associated distance of, you know, safe fire is, but I really don't have too much more to say about it. I think it could be very effective depending on if it fits your playstyle or not. For me, it's just not really it. I might run it in a couple more games and see if I can kind of adjust to it and use it. But ultimately, you know, everything's up to player choice, right? You know, I really don't care for this weapon. You could try it out and you could absolutely love it. Not only if it's your playstyle, but if you just think it's, you know, fucking fun, great, man, that's cool. I'm not gonna shit talk anyone for liking any weapon in Helldivers 2. You can like whatever you like. Just personally, I definitely rank this at the bottom. Not only in terms of like utility, based on like the third weapon and its performance in my experience as well, but just in the adjustments that I feel like the majority of players would have to make to their playstyle to effectively use this. I don't know. Overall, I'd probably give it like a C. You know, it's average. It's one of those things that's kind of like meh. Could take it or leave it. If I was you though, I would not spend my war medals on this before something else if there was something else you really wanted. That's all I really got to say about that. So we'll move on to the last one now. I don't want to sound like a broken record, even though I probably already do. So this brings us to our final primary weapon of the Warbond, and that is the ARC 12 Blitzer. This is another shotgun. Hell yeah. and I have definitely got some positive things to say about this. Now, like I said, I have not personally unlocked this yet. I was, however, lucky enough, and my friend was unlucky enough to have him die while using this weapon, and I picked it up. And he told me I could. Okay, I'm not grave robbing. I'm not looting corpses. He offered it to me as I called him back in to fight for democracy. I digress. So the Arc 12 Blitzer is pretty cool. This is obviously an energy-based weapon. It fires pretty decently large, like almost bolts of electricity. Versus the previous shotgun, though, these ones do go straight. They do not go as far, so the Blitzer definitely suffers a little bit more in terms of range, but it kind of starts creeping into that mid-range. It's very effective, especially if you're using the armor from the pass to kind of negate that damage. It's super useful. You can actually kind of like use your friends as like quasi Tesla towers as well if they're wearing that armor. And the damage is really good. There were a lot of instances where we were one-shotting some decently sized enemies with this. Not really the spewers or the the spitters, whatever you want to call them. Thinking like anytime I say spitter, I think of Left 4 Dead, but that's a topic for another video and why Left 4 Dead is perfect. Little peer into your crystal ball there, but it's my experience with the Blitzer has been good. Does a lot of damage, really good at kind of stunning enemies. This is something that I definitely could see also having a niche, but I see the Blitzer being a lot more accessible and a lot more widely used. Again, at least in up to the difficulties that I play on normally. The one downside to it, like I said, and I don't have any footage of it, I didn't record any of that stuff as we were playing or stream it or anything, but I think that actually I think there's two downsides to it, and those would be, number one, the range of it. It is a little short, but if you're using a shotgun, typically you're going to be up in everyone's grill and brushing their teeth for them with with some buckshot. So that, and then also even the pump speed is decently slow on it. Now, I do think it makes up for that fact, that it is a slow pump, in that it has infinite ammo. This isn't like a traditional energy weapon like you would think, like the other ones where there's a heatsink or anything in it. When you're using this, it actually shows you a little infinity sign for the ammo, so there's no risk of overheating or overcharging or anything like that. You basically just got completely free ammunition. And I feel like in some of the higher difficulties, don't have too much experience with that, but I think that could be extremely beneficial in that you don't have to worry about resupplies or a supply pack or anything like that. You can just roll with this the whole time, and you're always going to have at least one weapon that has ammunition, even if you're in the heat of it and you're waiting for the resupply to cool down, or no one has a supply pack, can't find any ammo on the ground, whatever the case might be. You're always going to have the Blitzer there. It's always going to have ammo. And the kind of spreading fact in between the enemies as well, where it can kind of arc from one to another, is also super useful, especially with the lower tiered enemies. When you get those mobs rushing at you that are super fucking annoying. I don't have issues with them at all. I mean, I'm great at Helldivers. I can kill mobs no problem. I'm king at this game. It does excel at that though. It's a very well-rounded weapon. Definitely has it, again, like the previous one. It does have its uses. There could be some people that don't enjoy it or aren't good with it, but it's definitely something I think that you could adjust to a little bit easier, and depending on how your team is built and how you want to play the game, of course, the Blitzer, something that I had a lot of fun with. I really liked using it. It is pretty reminiscent of the arc thrower, you know, the special weapon that you can call in just in shotgun form and with infinite ammo. So I mean, that's pretty dope. If you can deal with the slow pump time, you know, in between shots, maybe if you're coming from like the Breaker or something, or the Punisher that is a bit faster, you might take some time to adjust to that. But I found myself being able to, you know, acclimate to it pretty easily, just given the damage that it does and the effects that it has. Blitzer's definitely number 2 in my book for the new Warbond weapons. Still not going to top the Sickle. I'm sorry. I think Sickle is king out of here, but the Blitzer is definitely a solid choice, and I would recommend when you get to that, if you're not an armor junkie like I am, probably one of the first things that I would recommend unlocking, just to get used to it. And, you know, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of situations, especially with some of the upcoming things that we think, right, that Arrowhead's gonna add in there. I think it's gonna find a solid spot in the lineup. So final say here. Number 1, we've got the Sickle. Number 2, we've got the Blitzer, and then coming in last for the primaries, wrapping it up, is the Punisher Plasma. Now, just real quick, I am going to touch on the laser pistol from in here, and the stun grenades as well. I haven't used any of them myself. I've heard moderate things about the energy pistol. I can't really say anything about it because I haven't used it, so I'm not going to offer an opinion on it. The stuns, however, I have seen used quite frequently, and they are pretty sick. If you're a person who's going to play defensively and kind of in that support role, those stun grenades are definitely going to come in handy. They've got a lot of, not stopping power in the traditional sense that you think of a weapon having stopping power, but literal like stopping power. I'm talking like, you know, the great molasses, you know, incident, walking through 3 feet of it stuck in the bog with gum and mud and all kinds of shit on your boots, and it's just good, man. It stops those chargers. I don't think it would stop a Bile Titan if it came down to that, but it definitely will hold enemies in place. As I said, if you're playing that support role so that another teammate can call in a stratagem, or even you could call in a stratagem if you were ripping solo. I don't know if I'd substitute that out if you were playing solo, but if you weren't concerned about closing, you know, the bug holes or anything like that, definitely a good move for dealing with mobs like that. It'll stop them in their tracks. And those are all the weapons that we got from the primaries, with the secondary and the grenades as well. The next thing that I want to do is I want to just look at the armor. They all kind of have the same effects, so we'll talk about what they look like and what the bonuses are we get from them. Think they're going to have a little bit more impact with some of the future updates based on what I've seen, but they're all cool as hell, and we definitely want to make sure that we're following some fashion advice for democracy. So I'm going to try to make this relatively quick because there's not too much to talk about when it comes to the armor, and this video is already a lot longer than I intended it to be, but oh well, armor's badass and we're going to talk about it. So there are 3 different tiers of armor, obviously one on the first, one on the second, and one on the third. They all provide 95% resistance to arc damage, whether we're looking at the prototype 3 here, we look at the prototype 16, or you look down here at the prototype X. The only difference is that the prototype X here, which in my humble opinion is the coolest looking armor set, as you can see, it is a light armor set, so you've got more speed and more stamina regen, or higher stamina regen, and a lower armor rating, which is always good to have. I've definitely developed a taste for the light armor versus heavy, which is what I usually go for. But I digress. You can see that these two, the prototype 3 here and the prototype 16, they're both medium armor sets. So the first one that we get is this prototype 3, and this is what this set is gonna look like. It's kind of a little bit droid looking, got some of that like desert drab stuff going on. I do not have any of the capes unlocked, just because a lot of them, I'm kind of really partial actually to the first cape that you unlock. I think that one's pretty sick, not gonna lie. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that has too much of an impact on the way the armor looks. And this first set, the X3, right? Is that what that is? Is that what it is, right? X3? Yeah, prototype 3. I was close. EXO3. I think that's pretty sick. Got a nice kind of droid looking thing to it. We got a Helldivers little logo patch plate thing there on the front, which looks pretty dope. Nice and bulky machiny, which is cool. I'm definitely a fan of this armor. I like it. It's my second favorite. So the next one we got here is the prototype 16, another set of medium armor. You can see it's got kind of like a olive drab paint to it. Still got our Helldivers little plate there on the front. This one, definitely, I really thought this one was going to be heavy armor, just kind of based on like the look of the helmet and the big shoulder pads that we got on there. This one's definitely a little bit bulkier. The only thing that I don't really like about this armor is the fucking helmet makes you look like a goddamn goober. You look at this man and you tell me that he's not going to be down there fucking running around like the battlefield going or some shit. He looks like a fucking he's a freaking goober. Look at him. He looks like a little salamander or some shit. Looks like fucking I look like a fucking buffed out Caterpie. I mean, it's cool. It's sick. I like the armor, but the helmet, man, like why couldn't you just give us, I don't know, a visor, or like, you know, some bigger eyes. Give me some damn bigger eyes, man. Come on. But I mean, it's cool armor. I like it. I like the flare on the helmet. That's kind of sick. I like the shoulder pads. I likes me the big's armor. Makes me happy. Gives me serotonin. But again, same effects as the other two. Another medium set of armor. And that is the prototype 16. And here we have got the final set of armor and my personal favorite. This is the 00 prototype, I believe, right? God, it's my favorite set of armor and I can't even tell you what it is. Oh, prototype X. It's EX00 prototype X. Yeah, I think this is the dopest armor from the Warbond. Still kind of like an olive drab gray look to it. Nice little kind of medium shoulder pads. Goes really good with that cresting honor cape. I had to change it just for that because chef's kiss. It's beautiful.
Nice.
I love it. And I don't know, man, that fucking helmet, there's something about that helmet that it tickles my taint. I love it. I'm a sucker for anything that like looks like kind of like that, like watchdog kind of style, like, you know, I don't know how to describe it, but I think you could pick up what I'm putting down. This is definitely my favorite set of armor. Not only just like aesthetically, but also it being light armor is pretty sick. Shit lets you move fast as fuck, boy, and it's just overall, I think it's the most aesthetically pleasing set. And I think it has the best benefits, just, you know, because the other two don't really have any. While this one being a light set, you know, gives you obviously that better stamina, that faster run speed. So I definitely think that's a plus. But as I said, they all come with, as we saw in here when we went back, they all come with that 95% resistance to arc damage. If you ask the internet or if you look up, a lot of people think that's going to have something to do with the next enemy type that we're going to be facing, which would be super cool if they're like progressively kind of updating stuff like that and giving us things that are going to be more effective. That's pretty dope, and I love that they're doing that. I hope that is the case. Not saying that it's pay to win, but I'm not even going to get into that. Forget I said that. I'm not opening that can of worms. We're not talking about it. We're going to hug it out, So that's really it for the majority of the stuff from the new Cutting Edge Warbond, guys. There's a couple other things here that I wanted to touch on that I didn't really talk about. Obviously, you know, we get all these, talked about like these player cards. There's one for each one. They all match. There's capes, you know, we got these emotes here. Those are cool as always. Just that last thing to mention is there is one booster in here, the localization confusion thing, and I did talk about this earlier in the video, but I thought I'd just kind of swoop back to it, just kind of cover it again. So if you look at this, it says the effect is increases the time before enemy encounters. It seems that everyone is pretty much solidified on the fact that this does, basically what it does is affect the rate at which patrols will spawn, which can be really good. That could be good not only for you if you're playing solo, but even, you know, if you're maybe playing with some newbies or something, or, you know, if you are playing on a higher difficulty. I'm not exactly sure how. I'm not exactly sure how the spawn rates for the patrols work. I've seen a lot of people say, you know, that it's only one per group or one per this or one per that or whatever. But either way, my group that I play with, we've used this a couple times, and it definitely seems like it cuts down on them a decent bit. Can definitely help. So that's really the only kind of other standalone thing here in the Warbond. Everything else we've talked about or really is just kind of like a cosmetic thing. So that's kind of the last thing that I have to say about that in particular. Now, as I said, I think that an important thing to remember about this is, and I know I said I wasn't going to say it, but nothing in here is exclusively going to make this game pay to win. You do not need anything from this Warbond in order to play this game on any difficulty. People have been doing it since it launched. This has not changed anything. It's some different ways for you to play, different cosmetics for you to have, you know, and the like. So this isn't necessarily something you have to get if you want to enjoy the game. If you have the super credits, or if you got 10 bucks to spare and you want to drop it on it, do I think it's worth it? Yeah, absolutely. I think there's some cool guns in here. There's some cool armor. Just overall some things that you can do to, you know, mess around with and maybe change up your play style and things like that. So overall, yeah, I would 100% recommend it. I think Arrowhead gave us a really, really good kind of first taste of what their add-ons and what their continued service, their live service for this game is going to look like. And I can't wait to see what they drop next. This video was, as I said, a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. I honestly only thought it would be like maybe 15 or 20 minutes, but I don't even know what it's at now. So if you guys watch this one, I really appreciate it. You know, coming the whole way to the end. I do have another video out that I made, I think a couple weeks ago at this point, maybe a week or so, just about like kind of the launch of Helldivers 2 and my thoughts on it and why I think it's such a great game. So if you like this, go ahead and, you know, I'd appreciate if you give that a watch. Let me know what you think. I do this stuff because I love it. I think it's fun. I love this game. I love games in general. And I have some other things that I'm working on right now. So, you know, if you're interested in that, stop on back. I'd love to know what you think of what I'm doing, and if you have any tips or anything else you'd like me to, you know, share my thoughts on. I'd love to hear your thoughts on not only Helldivers 2 in general, but if you've been messing around with the Cutting Edge Warbond, let me know what you think. You know, any tips or tricks for me for that fucking plasma shotgun, share them please. I would love them. I want to love that so bad. But until next time, I will be out there spreading liberty and democracy, and I hope you will be too. And we'll see you out in the galaxy. Peace out.